Do you regret? So if you just look back, would you do it? Would you do any part of your life different?
Oh, I'd scrap all this. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'd scrap all this to be, you always hear these guys say, I wouldn't change it because it made me the man I am today. Oh, the man I am today is a fucking 54-year-old scumbag, multiple felons, starting my life over, broke, you know, living off of scraps, trying to make YouTube work. Like, I've got, two dead parents. I'm divorced. I have a son that doesn't talk to me. I have a son that doesn't talk to me for good reason, not because of a misunderstanding, because he understands. You can't even argue with him. He's got a powerful argument. Like, I don't want to be a part of this guy's life. He's a scumbag. He stole money. He went on the run. He abandoned me when I was, 3 years old. I don't want anything to do with him. Like, I get it. Like, and I've tried to do all the right things. I wrote the letters. I drew him pictures. I've tried to call, and it's not happening. Like, I would do anything to go back and just be that regular middle-class guy with the 2 kids and the wife working a regular job. I like, that's a good life. That's a good person. And, I just made one arrogant decision after another until it snowballed and I couldn't take it back. And then I did everything I could. And if I wasn't the calculating, backstabbing, scumbag motherfucker that I can be, I'd be in prison right now. Sorry, So yeah. I would much rather be a CPA right now. I would much rather, should have stuck with being an insurance adjuster or something. I mean, I never should have whited that 30-day late out. Never. It was a mistake.
That was your first mistake.
That was a huge mistake.
You think your son will forgive you?
No. Unfortunately, according to my ex-wife and my sister and everybody, that he is a part of their lives. And I've seen him. My mother's funeral, I saw him. I've seen him at several functions. You look across and he looks right through me. I think that everybody says he's just like you. He's just like you. And everybody says I'm just like my dad. I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never drank alcohol. Not a drop. Never done any drugs. Because my dad was an alcoholic. And my dad smoked 2 packs a day. And everything in our house reeked of nicotine. And I've never smoked. And my dad was a pillhead. He was always on some kind of prescription medication. He was and I didn't want to be that person. And like one day I drew a line in the sand and I wouldn't do it. And I think he's drawn a line in the sand and he's decided, this is the hill I'm going to die on, and I'm not going to back off it. And the thing is, my ex-wife tells him, he's a good person. You should be in his life. His father, because he was adopted when I was in prison, they adopted him. Nick is his dad. Nick has told him. Nick came to see me when I was in prison. Nick has told him, like, hey, this is a mistake. You're making a mistake. Like, everybody that knows me knows him. And he has said no. So I fully believe it's no. I mean, I hope it's not.
Well, I hope he forgives you. I think there's a lot of good in you, despite you calling yourself a scumbag over and over in this podcast.
It keeps bothering you. You mentioned that earlier.
What advice would you give to young people, given that you've lived quite a non-standard life? What advice would you give them how to live a life they can be proud of?
I mean, it's if I'm in a position that anybody would listen to me, but Because to me, and I don't have any advice that I don't think a father would give you. And it's like, work hard, be appreciative. I mean, things are so good out here. I hear people complain all the time. And I think a huge part of just being happy is being appreciative. Like, I didn't appreciate anything. When I had, this is so cliche, but when I had all the money in the world, I was miserable. But when I got out with nothing, I was happier in prison with nothing than I was with $2 or $3 million prior to prison. And dating a chick I never should have been dating, driving a sports car, vacationing all over the world, miserable. I'm crying driving away from prison because I already missed my friends. You could have never told me that was going to happen.
Turns out money, in fact, does not buy happiness.
No, and I know, and it is such a cliche, right? But it's so true.
Crying driving away from prison. Yeah.
You know what? I met my wife in the halfway house. So she had just gotten out of prison. She was in the halfway house with me. She just did 5 years for like a meth conspiracy. Mm-hmm. I never would have met her if I hadn't gone to prison. You know?
And now your date night is hunting alligators together.
Yeah, we that was like a month or so ago.
This is Florida, folks. This is what this is what badass people do in Florida.
My wife
hog hunting
is a former. She used to. So she was an MP in the military. She hunted. She ran a hog hunting tour guide service for 6 years.
Yeah.
Went to prison for 5 years, got out, and then, now she's a marine mechanic. And yeah, our date night the other night was, we went in the middle of the night, went to Lake Okeechobee and I went alligator hunting.
Yeah. And if I may say so, she's quite beautiful. So.
Thank you. And I did nice. She didn't want to date me in the halfway house too. I kept saying, I feel like you're sweet on me. She's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I make fun of guys like you. You're a city boy. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like.
Well, you wore her down.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, it's that charisma. It always works. Well, Matt, thank you for being so honest. Thank you for being who you are. I do think there's a lot of good in you, and thank you for telling your story and the story of others who have who've made mistakes in their life. Thank you for talking today.
I appreciate you having me on.
That was a really short conversation.